that apply to?
No, Zakat. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina mursaleen nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ask Allah to make this another beneficial sitting where we are learning from the religion that He has given to us in this blessed month. Ask Allah to make this as a proof for us and not against us, and that He is pleased with us and not angered with us. This is lesson 2 and the final lesson from Majalis Shar Ramadan by the Imam of our generation, Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen, and we are now on Majalis al-Thani wal-Ishrun, and that's the 22nd Majlis, which will occur on the 22nd day. And the title of that Majlis, for that particular chapter, is في اجتهاد في أشهر الأواخر والليلة القدر. So in this chapter, he is going to discuss the importance of these last 10 nights and seeking Laylatul Qadr. That's chapter number 22. Chapter number 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, so it's good 5 chapters there. He then uses those nights to talk about Jannah and the people of Jannah and the description of Jannah, and Jahannam and the people of Jahannam and the description of Jahannam. We won't have time for that, unfortunately. Then on the 28th day, which is the 28th chapter, he discusses some rulings surrounding Zakat al-Fitr. On the 29th, Tawbah. And on the 30th, Khitam al-Shahr, as in ending the Shahr, ending the month of Ramadan. So this is what we're going to focus on today. And this particular chapter, chapter number 22, is going to talk about the importance of Laylatul Qadr. And in this we have tafsir of Surah al-Qadr itself. So in today's lesson, we're going to be looking at some tafsir, obviously some aqidah. There's never a majlis with Shaykh Muhammad al-Uthaymeen except that there is some kind of tawheed, emphasis on tawheed and aqidah. So there will be some tawheed and aqidah. There will be some tafsir. The 28th chapter is about Zakat al-Fitr, so we're going to look at the ahkam connected to that. We have also on the 29th chapter talking about Tawbah and ending the month, which is the 30th chapter. So here we have some wisdoms and some reminders and some encouragement from the Shaykh. And in the last chapter he briefly talks about the ahkam for Eid and the Salat al-Eid. So we have some fiqh, we have some reminders, and we have some tafsir as well. So now in chapter number 22 he talks about Surah al-Qadr. And he said, وصفها الله سبحانه وتعالى بأنها مبارك لكثرة خيرها وبركتها وفضلها. Allah has described this night as being a blessed night because there is the amount of goodness and the amount of blessings and the amount of virtue in that night. Allah describes it as being a night of barakah. And it is our Lord who has created everything that we know. He has created time, He has created place, and He chooses from His time and His creation and place what is going to be beneficial and what is not going to be beneficial. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that this is the night of Qadr, this is the night of barakah, this is the night of seeking goodness, then there must be something in this night which is going to be of benefit for you in your dunya and your akhirah. Uthaymeen rahimahullah said, وَصَفَهَا سُبْحَانَهُ بِأَنَّهُ يَفْرُقْ فِيهَا كُلُّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. And in this night, every matter is going to be discussed for the coming year. يعني يفصل من اللوح المحفوظ إلى كتب ما هو كائن من أمر الله سبحانه وتعالى في تلك السنة من الأرزاق والآجال والخير والشر وغير ذلك من كل أمر حكيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this night, and we talked about this last week, 50,000 years before He created the heavens and the earth, He recorded, He decreed, He created through His knowledge, His infinite knowledge subhanahu, in the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the mother of all books, and He's recorded everything from there. Billions of years ago, everything about you and about every single one of us has been recorded. On this night, the angels are going to be commanded to take from that book and transfer it into your own personal book. Your rizq in the coming year, your lifespan in the coming year. And he said, in general, all goodness and all badness, all tests and all goodness are going to be recorded for the coming year on this night. And there is a narration which has been narrated by Hakim, who also made it sahih, on the authority of Ibn Abbas, who said, radiyallahu anhuma, who said, إِنَّكَ لَتَرَى الرَّجُلْ يَمْشِي فِي الْأَسْوَاقِ. You will see a man, he's just going about his day on that night. He's going about his night. He's walking in the market, he's speaking with his family members, he's eating his food. But from above him, وَقَدْ وَقَعَ اسْمُهُ فِي الْمَوْتَى. From above him, his name is being discussed with the angels. What's going to happen with this guy? And they're writing, and he is completely oblivious to the fact that the angels are talking about him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made a command about him in a decree that was written billions of years, and he has no knowledge of what's going on. ثم قرأ. Ibn Abbas then recited, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْمُبَارَكَةِ إِنَّا كُنَّا مُنذِرِينَ فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلُّ مِنْ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. Surah Dukhan, we looked at that also last week. So the point here is that this night is an immense night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a great deal of reverence for this night. And if Allah, He Himself, the Creator, the one who wants good for us, the all-wise, the all-merciful, the all-just, has called this night a night of decree, a night of importance, the angels give it particular importance, then what about us? We can't ignore it. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, يعني ليلة القدر ففي تلك الليلة يفرق أمر الدنيا إلى مثلها من قابل. So all of the affairs in the dunya, all of the affairs in the dunya, the government policies, the calamities that are going to happen, the wars, all the general things, all the specific, every single thing for the coming year is going to be recorded in that year. How long is that night? Salat for us, Salat al-Maghrib, 9 o'clock roughly, until Salat al-Fajr, 2 o'clock roughly. It's just a few hours. 4 hours, 5 hours maximum. Ibn Uthaymeen then goes on to give tafsir of Surah al-Qadr. It says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. And what we're going to do here is look at some of the benefits that have been mentioned by others from the Mufassirun also, so that we can have a broader understanding of this surah. Inna, Allah is using plurality here because of His magnitude. Allah refers to Himself in the plural form. And then He refers to Himself again in the plural form, Anzalna. We have, again, with the plurality. And this clearly shows you the splendor and the majesty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But He has connected Himself and His splendor and His majesty to the importance of this night. What we can also learn from this is that Allah has revealed the Quran and He has sent down the Quran on this night. So where is Allah? Allah is separate from His creation, high above. And we can learn that directly from this ayah. Allah has sent down the Quran. Isa went up. The Prophet ﷺ went up. The angels come down. The angels go up. Allah is separate from His creation and He has sent down to us, inserted into the creation from the uncreated, from Himself, this Quran. Therefore there's only one thing in this dunya that has always been infinite and has always existed and will continue to exist even when the dunya perishes. What is that thing? The Quran. We have something in this dunya which is uncreated. We have something in this dunya which is infinite and will never cease. Me and you will go. We have come, we have gone, just like those people. Okay, the Quran is infinite from the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the night that He revealed it. Also, Allah says in this ayah, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. This is the night that Allah revealed the Quran. This is the night when the Messenger of Allah became a prophet. But the question I want to ask you now, even before he was a prophet, what was he doing? What was he doing? He was in the cave of Hira. He was worshipping even before he was a prophet. even before he had the command within our own sharia to give respect to this night, to seek it in making tahajjud, seek it in increasing in acts of worship, he himself was already doing that, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So what about us? What are we going to be doing on that night? Allah says, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr, whilst you were away, tucked away, isolated in Hira, making dhikr, making tasbih, making tahmeed. He didn't have any Quran. Imagine he was there for 4 or 5 hours, strictly making tasbih and tahmeed and takbir of Allah. He had no Quran, but he was a muwahhid. He had iman, and he isolated himself in thinking about Allah, making dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what happens now when you have Quran? What happens now when you have salah and sadaqah and all these other things, seeking ilm and all of those things that we can do on this night? This is the night of Qadr. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, لأن الليلة القدر. Why is it called ليلة القدر? Why is it called the night of Qadr? لأن الليلة القدر شريفة عظيمة يقدر الله فيها ما يكون في سنة ويقضي من أمور الحكيمة. This is the night where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to legislate and decree everything that is going to come in the coming year. So what we know is that this qadr means something which is powerful, linguistically. Qadr can also mean something which is a decree, qada wa qadr. Qadr can also be a proportionate. الَّذِي قَدَّرْ فَهَدَى. He is proportionate and he is given that proportion. Therefore, all of these meanings are correct. And this is one of the usul from the usul of tafsir, is that if you have multiple meanings, but all of them can be combined and all of them are not contradictory of one another, then all of them are correct. So this night is the night of rationing. This night is the night of magnitude. This night is the night of blessing. And what we can also learn from this ayah, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin, Allah has revealed it on the night of Qadr, is that there is no such thing as having a big night in Islam unless you have proof. There is no such thing as saying, well, we're going to specify a night in Sha'ban or a night in Rajab or a night in whenever, unless you have proof to do so. Because in actual fact, every night is a big night. Every night is a big night. But that multiplication and that emphasis of that night becoming a big night increases only with proof. So somebody asked Ibn Mubarak, is it true that Allah descends on Shab Bayrat on the 15th of Sha'ban? Is that true? Ibn Mubarak says, you're weak. And why is he weak? Because now you only want one night in the whole year to remember Allah, when every single night is a big night. So you're a weak one. Allah descends every single night. Why are you specifying the 15th of Sha'ban? So what we have learned is Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr. There's a great deal of importance in Qadr. There's a great deal of importance of worship. There's a great deal that you can benefit from this particular night. It is a night where Allah calls it Layla. Inna anzalnahu Layla. Why is it Layla? Because we know from other narrations and other textual proofs from the Quran that the Layla is a Layla of tranquility. وَجَعَلْنَا نَوْمَكُمْ سُبَاتًا. We have made the night as a blanket over you. The night is a resting. The night is tranquility. The night is precision. The night is focus. So from the mercy of Allah, He has not made Yawm al-Qadr. How can you dedicate to Allah 4 or 5 hours when you are busy during the night? Allah knows that. From His rahmah He has made Laylatul Qadr. Question. Tonight is the 28th night for us. Maybe it's the 27th night in Pakistan. Is it possible that there are multiple Laylatul Qadrs? What do you think? It's a tricky one, isn't it? Huh? There should be only one. Why? It is decreed. Yes, but we have something in this ayah here. Does Allah say, Inna anzalnahu fi layalil qadr, in the night of Qadr, or is it Layla? Therefore, Layla means one night. Therefore, Laylatul Qadr, and this is, the ulama have different views on this, but what seems to be the correct view is it's Layla. So the answer to that question is that there is only one night. And what we can also learn from this, طيب, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ. What do you know about Laylatul Qadr? The ulama have taken from this. Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah said, when Allah says وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْحَاقَّةُ, when Allah says وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ, when Allah ever uses مَا أَدْرَاكَ, Allah is telling you to pay attention, because what is coming next is something that He's going to explain to you from something that you were ignorant about. Did you know about Laylatul Qadr before the Quran was revealed to you? The Prophet himself didn't know, but Allah Jalla wa Ala revealed it to him. Therefore, Allah is teaching us here that Laylatul Qadr is something that we are ignorant about, so pay attention. Allah has given a whole surah about this night. You won't find that unless it's something important. You are ignorant, so pay attention. That's one interpretation. Another interpretation is that the next bit is going to be very important, so focus. Focus to the explanation. Allah is giving you a rhetorical question because He wants you to focus on the next ayah. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah is saying, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. The question here, the rhetorical question here is, this is Laylatul Qadr, so what are you going to do on Laylatul Qadr? What are you going to do on Laylatul Qadr? وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ. Laylatul Qadr خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. Laylatul Qadr يعني في الفضل والشرف وكثرة الثواب والأجر. It is better for you than 1,000 months because of the virtue and the honor and the multiplication of reward that Allah is going to give on that night. So Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah is saying, whoever stands it with iman and hope, iman with tawheed, with certainty in Allah and seeking His reward in the akhirah, all of his sins will be forgiven. All of his sins will be forgiven for 4 or 5 hours worth of dedication. How many people, my brothers and sisters, how many people have entered into Ramadan, but because of this night, and because there is something that they have done in Ramadan, they have left it like the day that their mothers gave birth to them. This night is very important, because from the time where Allah has already decreed billions of years ago, Allah has also decreed at that point that such and such person is going to be free from the fire. I've decreed it. Now angels, write it down, and you are the witness. Write it in His book that he is going to be free from the fire. On this night, throughout the millions of years that Allah has given a particular night, how many people have been freed from the fire because of this decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How many people have been wretched before Ramadan, inside of Ramadan, but because of Laylatul Qadr, there is something that they have done, Allah has changed and given them hidayah on this night. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah is saying, oh, you have wasted your years of negligence, of weakness, of ignoring Allah, of being far from Allah. There's nothing that can amend all of those years that you have lost. Every single second that has gone by, you've lost it, you can't get it again. Even if you spend everything that you had, that second, that you're being pushed forward constantly. You can't get that again. This salah that we just prayed, can you get that back? If you didn't pray it properly, can you get it back? There's nothing you can do. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah is saying here, there is nothing that you can do to amend or gain what you have lost. Wasted years, except there is one chance from the mercy of Allah that He has given you every single year to gain that back. And that is in Laylatul Qadr, Ibn Rajab is saying, rahimahullah. The reason why is because one night's worth of worship, is it equivalent to 1,000 years, or is it more than 1,000 years? Equivalent is the same. Allah says, khayr. Let's look at it. When you're making tafsir, the ulama of tafsir, they dissect every single word and say, why has Allah chosen that word? Why did He say khayr, not afdal? Why did He say khayr? Why didn't He say equal, yusawi? Allah is saying khayr, meaning it's better than 1,000 months. Better than 83 years of worship, 5 hours of your day, of your night. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah is saying, in those 4 or 5 hours, you can expiate for yourself this asr and this minute and these hours and these days that you have wasted in just 4 or 5 hours of devotion. Look at the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ. If you rephrase that into a rhetorical question, do you think the power, the qadr, the proportionate or the proportioning the rationing, the measurement, the afu, the justice of your Lord can be limited? Allah is saying that this one night is better than 1,000 nights. Is there a limit? Has Allah put a limit on that? He hasn't. He's just said to you it's better than 1,000 nights, but that doesn't mean that it can't be better than 1,000,000 nights. You see the point here? Khayrun min alfi shahr. It's better than 1,000 nights. It's better than you and your whole lifespan, even if you were to live 83 years. But you can have that every single year. Just for 4 or 5 hours. So from this we learn the importance from the Salaf of this Ummah. Aisha radiallahu anha asked the Messenger of Allah, "O Messenger of Allah, this is the night of power. This is the night of decree. This is the night when there's going to be transferring going on. This is the night when the angels are coming down and I'm just sleeping in my bed. What can I do? Is there anything that I can do to influence my own qadr? Is there anything that I can do to make my Lord happy with me? Ma aqul, what should I say?" The Prophet ﷺ taught us something which is better than the whole dunya and everything that it contains. Because if you had the whole dunya given to you, you might not live to live 83 years. You might only live 20 years. And in actual fact, we've seen people who won the lottery and they commit suicide years later. You can have the whole dunya given to you, but Laylatul Qadr is better for you than 83 years. This dua is better for you, and this worship on this night particularly, but this dua is better for you than the whole dunya and what it contains. He said, "Quli, innaka afu, tuhibbul afu, fa'fu anni." Oh Allah, you love to pardon, so when you're looking at my name, then pardon me. You love to pardon, and I've been negligent. I didn't think about you throughout this year, this past year, this last Laylatul Qadr until this Laylatul Qadr. There have been so many instances where I've forgotten you. And when I was fulfilling my own desires, I wasn't thinking about you. But now, Allah, on this night, I'm thinking about you. And I'm asking for your pardon. And I'm asking for your mercy. Because your mercy and your pardon is much more greater than all of my negligences. Innaka afu, you love to pardon, tuhibbul afu. So when my name is being written, when my name is being discussed, when my rizq is being written and discussed, when my lifespan is being written, when my guidance, when my ilm, when my actions and all of it is being discussed, my health, my illnesses, my family life, everything when it is being discussed, the political situation in my scenario, in where I live, everything when it is all being discussed, look at me with pardon when it is being written. Allahumma innaka afu, tuhibbul afu, fa'fu anni. تنزل الملائكة والروح. The next ayah, number 4, the angels descend. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah is asking why the angels call them. How do you say angels in Arabic? Malaika. That's the plural form of malak. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah is asking why the malaika called them malak. The malak is something that has power over something, but they might not necessarily own that thing. So if I give you the keys to my car, you become the malik of that car, or the wakil, or whatever, something that has control over it, but you don't necessarily own it. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said that the malaika are called the malak because they have power over something, but they don't own it. On this night, they have been given power and authority and command about us, but they don't own it. Allah Jalla wa Ala sends them down. And Uthaymeen rahimahullah says, يتنزلون في ليلة القدر إلى الأرض بالخير وبركة ورحمة. They come down on this night with a lot of goodness, with a lot of barakah and a lot of rahmah. Goodness, general goodness. Rahmah is general in the sense of Allah having mercy upon you. Now mercy could be that Allah forgives you and He conceals you, but it could also be that from His mercy, I want to give you something. But what is barakah? What's the meaning of barakah? We say all the time, barakallah feek, Allah give you barakah. What is barakah?
Benefits.
Huh? Benefits of something, yes. An increase. Barakah is an increase. If you have £10, but that feeds your family for one day, I don't know how £10 can feed my family for one meal. But if Allah puts barakah in it, you could go to the shop and you can find barakah in that meal. Barakah is an increase, a multiplication. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah is saying on Laylatul Qadr, these angels are coming down with rahmah, they are coming with barakah, they are coming with goodness, all kinds of goodness for you. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَ تِلْكَ اللَّيْلَ, that the angels on that night, fil ard, أَكْثَرْ مِنْ عَدَدَ الْحَصَى, they are more plentiful than pebbles on earth. Angels on that night exceed the number of stones on earth. What are they coming with though? Are they just there just to look at your face? No, they're coming with rahmah, with barakah, and all forms of goodness, as Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah is saying here. And what we do know from these previous ayats, and from this ayah also, that the angels are coming down to write down the year's decree. And some of the Mufassirun have also said on that same night, so they'll come and they'll write down your decree. How long will it take? Only Allah knows. But let's say it takes and it's finished. Some of the Mufassirun have said on that same night they are given commands for you also. The angels themselves are given the commands for you also. So such and such angel is going to protect you. Such and such angel is going to help you. Such and such angel is going to supplicate for you. All of these angels that are surrounding you for the period of that year are given their assignments also on that year and their duties. But there is also something that we need to pay attention to. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تدخل الملائكة بيت فيه سورة أو كلب. The angels don't enter into a home if there is an image in that house or if there is najasa, a dog in that house. And we kind of discussed this last week also, but my point here is that how do we know that the angels are coming down, the rahmah, the angels of rahmah, the angels of goodness, the angels of dua? There could be something in our lives which will prevent that. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said, this hadith is talking about clay and mud and cement and sand. Angels won't come into four walls, which is hard, rock, if there is an image or if there is some kind of najasa like a dog. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah is saying, what's greater? Your heart, your soul, or sand and cement? What's greater with Allah? Your heart, your soul. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah is saying that how is it possible that the angels are going to come and accompany you if you have something which is worse than a surah, which is worse than an image in your heart? If you have something which is worse than the najasa of the kalb in your heart, how is it possible that these angels are going to accompany you? These angels of rahmah. You know that there are angels that are appointed just to make dua. We know that. There are angels that are appointed just to make dua. That is their job. That's why Allah has created them, just to make dua. And they can accompany you. We know through different narrations, when you come to the masjid, there's an angel that comes down and he makes... We know that there's angels right here, right now. They come down when the halaqat of dhikr and ilm. We know that there's angels that have been appointed by Allah to travel around the earth to look for halaqat like this. So there are angels that are appointed to sit with us. I ask Allah to make us of those who are given that and not prohibited from that. But there are angels who pass by the earth and they look at the names of these people. They write them down and they say, such and such person, I saw him in the halaqah dhikr, and then they carry on to the next dhikr. Until they have collected all the information they need and they go back to Allah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks them and He knows better. What did my servant, what are they doing? How did you leave him? And I say they are in such and such dhikr, in such and such place. So then Allah asks the angels, why are they there in that Majalis of dhikr? They are seeking your Jannah, Ya Allah. And Allah knows better. So then Allah asks the angels, what had they seen the Jannah? How would they act in that manner? They haven't even seen the Jannah, but they're here acting to seek the Jannah. How would they be if they sought the Jannah? If they actually saw the Jannah? How would they be when they actually saw the hellfire? And the angels are having this discussion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until Allah ends that conversation by saying, you angels bear witness that I have forgiven my servants and I have entered them into Jannah. These are particular angels that Allah has created for that particular act of worship. That's it. So the question here now is, how can we gain with those angels coming down if there is something in our hearts, if we are not pure in our iman, if we have not eradicated shirk and nifaq and kufr from ourselves, if we have not removed from ourselves the own najasa that we have in our own selves, the weaknesses and the desires and the sins and the thoughts towards other people and the ghiba and the namima. Salamun hiya hatta matla'i al-fajr. Salam, ulama have said salam is barakah and increase, but salam is also a protection from harm. So this night is an increase, and this night is a protection from all kinds of harm. So when everything is being written down by the angels, there is salama on this night for you. Even though you don't deserve it, even though we deserve much worse because of our own negligences, Allah is saying from His mercy there is salama on this night. What is that salama? There is mercy, there is guidance, there is rizq, there is hidayah, there is goodness, and most of all, there is Jannah. Here, salamun hiya hatta matla'i al-fajr, and this continues all the way until Fajr. Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Ajlan, one of our mashayikh, he said, Islam began with salam. It began with a goodly word. However, a sign of a person's ignorance and a sign of a person's wretchedness, which we need to remove on this night so that we can get that salam, is that he doesn't want goodness for himself in his words or in his deeds. He doesn't see there's anything wrong with him. Everything is fine. I am perfect, and everybody else, there are issues. In actual fact, Islam came and it began with salam. And it came to remove falsehood. It came to remove stubbornness. And it came to instill in ourselves forgiveness and mercy. This is why one of the biggest things that you find against those people who don't accept Islam, whether it's our Nabi or any other Nabi. For example, the first Nabi, what did his people say? قَالَ يَا نُوحُ قَدْ جَادَلْتَنَا فَأَكْثَرْتَ جِدَالَنَا. You have argued with us and you've given us so much dawah. We're not going to accept you. فَأْتِنَا بِمَا تَعِدُنَا إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. So give us the punishment if you're truthful. Give us the punishment if you are truthful. What is the correlation here? The correlation here is that when a person becomes stubborn and arrogant and he sees that he himself as being self-sufficient, self-guided, self-pious, there's nothing wrong, what happens is that he becomes stubborn and he rejects the truth. And when he becomes stubborn and rejects the truth, instead of saying what is good, he will make dua for what is bad, even if it's against himself. So they rejected the people of Nuh. Ya Nuh, قَدْ جَادَلْتَنَا فَأَكْثَرْتَ جِدَالَنَا. You have argued with us, we have argued with you, we have rejected. Instead of them saying, guide us if you are truthful, oh Allah, guide us if you are truthful, they made a dua against themselves. فَأْتِنَا بِمَا تَعِدُنَا إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. If you are truthful, then punish us. Look at the level of arrogance and stubborn nature this creates. But this night is salam. This night Allah wants us to be guided. Allah wants us to remove from us our wretchedness. And this continues until the coming of Fajr. The door is not closed. So Allah is saying, seek it. Exert yourself in seeking it. Don't think of any single moment in that night as being insignificant. You could just say astaghfirullah with true humility and khushu and thankfulness to Allah. You don't know what that could create for yourself. يعني ابن تيمية رحمه الله saying يعني أن ليلة القدر ليلة السلام للمؤمنين. Laylatul Qadr is the night of protection and barakah and increase for the believers. من كل مخوف, from everything that they fear. Because on this night, Allah frees a number from the hellfire which is unprecedented. وَيُسَلِّمْ مِنْ أَذَابِهَا. And these believers are then protected by Allah's mercy and justice on that night from His punishment. Therefore, the night is with salam, and it continues to be salam, and it will be a salam for you in your dunya and in your akhirah. Then Uthaymeen rahimahullah goes on to talk about many different benefits that we can gain from this surah, but I think we'll leave that for another occasion. Majalis al-Thamin wal-Ashrun, the 28th lecture or Majalis fi Zakat al-Fitr. Now the Shaykh is going to talk about some of the rulings and the wisdoms surrounding Zakat al-Fitr. He said, Ikhwani, my brothers, Inna Allah shar'a lakum fi khitam shahrikum. Allah has legislated for you in the end of your month that you give Zakat al-Fitr before Salat al-Eid. And in this chapter he is going to talk about the ahkam, the hikmah, and what we should be giving, and how much we should be giving, and when we should be giving it, and who we should be giving it to, and on whose behalf should we be giving it. So roughly about 5-6 different chapters or parts. Zakat al-Fitr, what is the ruling on Zakat al-Fitr? It's wajib. Some of the ulama said it's not wajib. And this is the opinion of some of the Malikis and the Hanafis. They've said, okay, I've got £1,000 in my bank. How much is the zakat on £1,000? £25. I give the £25. Now you are saying to me, from that £975, I need to give another £4-5 in zakat again. I've already given zakat, so I'm not going to give zakat again. So they've said, some of these ulama have said that it's either sunnah or it's not wajib, or some of them have said that it's been abrogated by the official zakat, the third pillar of Islam. How can you give zakat on something twice? It doesn't work like that. And they also argued the hadith of the Bedouin. What's the hadith of the Bedouin? He said, Ya Muhammad, and they were very harsh in the way they used to speak to him, tell me about Islam. And he told them the pillars of Islam. And he said that if I was to do all of these things, would I enter Jannah? He said, yeah. Illa an tatawwa, except if you want to increase in it. So he said, by Allah, I'm going to do these things. I'm not going to increase anything. And this is my agreement I have with you. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, you've told me I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tawheed, Salah, Zakah, Siyam, and Hajj, if I'm able to do it. I do these things and I'll stay away from the sins. On Yawm al-Qiyamah, I'm going to look for you and you have promised me this. Is that our agreement? The Prophet said, yeah, of course. Illa an tatawwa, unless if you want to increase for yourself. When he left, the Prophet ﷺ said, Aflaha wa in sadaq. He is successful if he is truthful, if he is going to stick to that covenant. What we can derive from this, and what the ulama have derived from this, is that we have zakat, which is obligatory zakat, but there is no mention of zakat al-fitr in this hadith. Is this a convincing argument? What do you think? Are you convinced yet? Abrogation. So yeah, it was obligatory at one point, but it's abrogated. Or it is sunnah. Or it's not legislated at all because of the hadith of the Bedouin. This is the opinion of some of the Malikis, and this is the opinion of some of the Hanafis. The majority of the ulama, and we're not taking majority when it comes to the madhahib, we're not just the Hanbali and Shafi, the two madhabs that remain, and the rest of the Hanafis and the Malikis, but we're talking about the majority of the companions and the Salaf that came after them, have said that it is wajib upon every single Muslim, irrespective of your age, your gender, your financial situation, whether you're free, whether you're not free, whether you're a slave or not a slave. And they have answered the reservations of those of the ulama by saying that this particular zakat is not a zakat on your wealth. This is a zakat on you as a human being, and your fasting, and your Ramadan. And in answering the objection that they've had with the hadith of the Bedouin, they've said that yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there are other things which are wajib. So the Bedouin would have come up to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but other things could have been added into what is wajib through other dalil. and through other chronological orders. So this Bedouin may have came in the 2nd year of Hijrah, or the 4th year, or the 9th year of Hijrah, but then something else became wajib afterwards. The dalil for the majority is the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, who said, Farada Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet sallallahu obligated, made it wajib, made it fard, Zakat al-Fitr min Ramadan, that we give Zakat al-Fitr in Ramadan. Sa' min tamar, or sa' min sha'ir. A sa', 3 kilos approximately, from dates or from barley. Look at the rest of the hadith. Ala abd wal hur. Doesn't matter if you're free or not free, if you're a slave or not. وَالذَّكَرْ وَالْأُنْثَى, male and female. وَالصَّغِيرُ وَالْكِبِيرُ. So if I have a child, 1 year old, 2 years old, I have to give zakat. Of course, the hadith is here. مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Therefore, مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ is the indication here, that because you are Muslim, because you are fasted, because you have entered into Ramadan, you must give the zakat al-fitr. What does a person need to give? Now, based on this hadith, and there's another hadith of Ibn Umar also, that the Prophet ﷺ followed the zakat al-fitr in Ramadan, sa'in tamr, sa'in sha'ir. There's also another narration from Abu Sa'id al-Qadr that the Prophet ﷺ, or at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, we used to give it on barley, raisins, dried yogurt, qat, and tamar. So the majority of the ulama have said that your zakat al-fitr can only be given 3 kilos from these categories only. Dates, barley, wheat, you can add to that, raisins, and dried yogurt. This is the opinion of the majority. However, the counter argument is the opinion of the Malikis, is that they've said, did the Prophet ﷺ, or did they give these commodities at the time of the Prophet ﷺ in zakat al-fitr, was that commanded to them by Allah and the Messenger or not? So the majority have said, yeah, this is how we used to do it, so this is how it was. But the Malikis have said, no. There is no dalil to say, there is no textual proof to say that this was divine from Allah to say you must give from one of these 5. Therefore, it's not tawqifi. And they've said that the food that you must give is of staple food, what me and you eat on a daily basis. And the dalil for that is the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, who said, كنا نخرج يوم الفطر في أحد الساع من طعام وكان طعامنا شعير وزبيب. The point here, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, we used to give a sa' of ta'am, وَكَانَ طَعَامُنَا, and the food that we used to eat at that time used to be barley and raisins, etc. So they've said, and there are other narrations which say that كَانَ طَعَامُنَا يَوْمَئِذ, that on that day we used to eat those things. What that means is, after the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the diet has changed, and that is true. Historically, the diet has changed. So the Malikis' other opinion is that it must be staple food. What's staple food? Can you give rice? You eat rice at home. Can you give pasta? Can you give chicken? No. Why not? You don't eat chicken? Do you eat chicken? Huh? It'll go bad for a few days. So this is another point now. The majority of ulama have said that it has to be measured and it must be stored. But the Maliki madhab is saying here now, if you can give it on the day and the person's going to benefit from it from a day, and it is something that you can measure, then you can give that. If it is something that you can't measure a sa' of, then you can't give that. So can I give potatoes? If you can give a sa' of potatoes, and this is something that we eat on a daily basis, then you're going to benefit from it. And this is the opinion of Uthaymeen and many of the ulama. Even the Hanafi madhab, they've said that you are mukhayyir, you can choose, you can give whatever you want. And this seems to be the stronger opinion, based on what Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and other narrations seem to suggest, that they gave what was available to them at that time. What we can learn from this also, and this is something which we have to pay attention to, is that it's not permissible for us to give clothes, it's not permissible for us to give animals, it's not permissible to give money, It has to be food. Ibn Uthaymeen, حيث كان يخرجونها الصاع من الطعام, that they used to give food, staple food, and it used to be a quantity of roughly around 3 kilos. So this is the second mas'ala, which is, what do you give from? You give from what is staple food, which must be measured, must be stored, something that's not going to go bad. Something is 3 kilos, and something that the person is going to benefit from. So now, for example, can you give something, just trying to think of something that we don't normally eat. It's not going to be of benefit. I'm sure you can get the message here. So something which is not staple food, but is actual food, but it's not. It is measured and stored, but it's not staple food. It's not going to benefit any person. In that scenario, you can't give that. Like, when do we give Zakat al-Fitr? The Hanafis and the Shafi'is say that you can give it at any time in Ramadan. As soon as Ramadan is entered, on the first night you can give it. They have said that Zakat al-Fitr is connected to Ramadan and it's not connected to Yawm al-Eid. Whereas the majority of ulama have said that it's called Zakat al-Ramadan, it's called Zakat al-Fitr. It's called Sadaqah al-Fitr. Therefore, it is connected to the day of Eid itself. And we have textual proofs where the Prophet ﷺ used to take it out and he used to give the payment of the Zakat al-Fitr, and he used to give the food on the day of Eid itself, or he permitted that it be given a day or 2 days before the day of Eid. Therefore, we have 2 timings for Zakat al-Fitr. It must be done before the Eid Salah itself. This is wajib. If the Imam has started the Eid Salah and you've not given your Zakat al-Fitr, and you have been negligent, the hadith of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, وَمَنْ أَدَّاهَا بَعْدَ الصَّلَاةِ, whoever gives it after the Salah out of negligence on purpose, فَهِيَ صَدَقَةٌ مِنْ صَدَقَاتِ, it's just a normal sadaqah. He's not given the Zakat al-Fitr. Therefore, the wajib time is before the Salat. You can't delay any more beyond that. Waqtul Jawaz with the ulama, the time when it becomes permissible, is the hadith of Ibn Umar, where the Prophet ﷺ gave concession 1 or 2 days before. So now let's think about this. The 27th or the 28th, let's say the 28th, becomes the day when it becomes permissible. The 1st of Shawwal becomes wajib. You see now you got 2 beginning and ending times. The waqt al-mustahab with the ulama is before the salah itself, or on the way to the salah itself. So now you have 3 options. Before the salah, right before the salah on the day of Eid, meaning mustahab, or the time of permissibility, the 28th. Now you might think this is trivial. It's not trivial in the sense that your salah, every act of worship, depends on timing. Can you make Hajj in Ramadan? Can you fast Ramadan outside Ramadan on purpose? No. Can you pray Salat al-Asr in the time of Salat al-Isha? All of your acts of worship are bound by time. That's why Allah has created you, and that's why Allah has created time. That's why this is important. But also, there is also another khilaf. If a person is born on the night of Eid, or a person becomes Muslim on the 29th of Ramadan, is there zakat for him or not? Yes or no? Why? Because the time of Jawaz has begun. But the ulama, some of them now, this is why the khilaf comes involved. Some of the ulama have said that if he becomes Muslim at any period on Eid day, then there is no zakat or fitr for him, because he's missed Ramadan. That's why the timing here is very, very important. If you want to give me some food and I'm going to give it to a poor person, when do I do that? Does that happen on the 28th, the 29th, the 30th, or any time in Ramadan? So now, this mas'ala we've been talking about, waqt al-jawaz and the waqt al-shart and the waqt al-wujub and waqt al-mustahab, all of these things we've been talking about, me finding a poor person and giving it him. It becomes permissible 2 days before, is mustahab before, on the morning of Eid, and wajib must be done before the first takbir, must be. Those are the 3 options. But now, I'm going to give money to somebody who's going to transfer that money to a different country, and they are going to pay and feed the person over there. Or I'm going to give him a sack of potatoes, and he's going to give it to a poor person. When can I give it to him? Whenever. Why? The act needs to be done before the day of Eid. However, appointing an agent can be done at any time. So theoretically, I can say to him, here's £10. On the first day of Ramadan, this is my Zakat al-Fitr. He puts it in his pocket. Don't worry. On the 29th day, I'm going to make sure that someone is going to be fed. What if a person didn't know, or they were ignorant, or they didn't know it was Eid day? So they got delayed. Do they give the zakat after the salat or not? Will it be accepted from them if they did it or not? Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah is saying, after the salah, out of negligence or forgetfulness, purposely procrastinating, in the sense of forgetfulness, if he does that and the salah is finished, then that has been something haram and his sadaqah will not be accepted. However, if a person has a valid excuse, then he can give it after Salatul Eid and it will be accepted from him bi'idhnillah. What's the amount? We have looked at the amount in the previous hadith in Umar, which is as-sa'. And all of the ulama have said that it must be something which is tangible, which must be weighed. So again, I can't give an animal, but I can give the meat, because that is what is going to be weighed. The Hanafis, and this is the opinion of many of the ulama, contemporary also, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Uthaymeen, Shaykh al-Albani, they've said that if you gave half a sa' of burr, of barley, then this is permissible. Half a sa'. So now there is khilaf on whether it should be a full sa' or not. They said if you give half a sa' of burr, that is allowed. What's their dalil? They've said, when a person has a kafara, how much does he have to give? Half a kilo or 3 kilos? 1.5 kilos or 3 kilos? Every kind of kafara has 1.5 kilos. Therefore, this is no exception. So they make qiyas. That's one point. Also, there is a statement of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, who said that the Zakat al-Fitr should be 1.5 kilos. And they've said that this was an opinion of a companion, and none of the other companions rebuked him. And this is one of the principles of the Sharia. If you have one companion and none of them rebuked him, this becomes a form of ijma' as-sukuti, as in everybody is quiet in agreeing with what Muawiyah did and said. Therefore, this is their rationing. 1.5 kilos of barley is sufficient. The majority of ulama have said it must be 3, or it must be a sa'. Sa' min ta'am, as the hadith of Abu Sa'id and Umar. Sa' min sha'ir, sa' min tamar. And there are many narrations which say that the Prophet ﷺ specified that it must be a sa'. And this is the opinion of the majority, and this is the correct opinion. But what is a sa'? Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah said, وَبِالْغَرَامَات in grams, a sa' is kiloain, 2 kilos, وَخُمْسَيْ أُشْر kilo. And I've calculated, if I'm not mistaken, of it being 2,040 grams. So 2 kilos and 40 grams. However, like we've said, there are certain commodities where a sa' would be more. If it is lighter and smaller, then you will need more to fill up the measurement of a sa'. Therefore, the ulama have said that there is nothing which is going to be exceeding 3 kilos in its weight. Therefore, if you give 2 kilos and 40 grams of, that is the normal benchmark for what a sa' is. However, 3 kilos is safest. So now, so far we have looked at when we have to give it, who has to give it, who do we pay it to? Now the majority of the ulama, before who we pay it to, who is the one that is paying it? Maybe that's better. Who is the one that needs to pay it? The majority of the ulama have said, every single Muslim. We've looked at that hadith. However, if I have family members, my children, do I need to pay on their behalf, or don't I need to pay on their behalf? The majority of the ulama is saying, that I need to pay on my behalf, and I am responsible for my dependents also. So now, if my child has a bank account, I need to take it out of his bank account, and I am responsible to look after his money. Others from the ulama, and this is the opinion of the Hanafis, is that everyone must pay separately. Everyone must pay separately. So if I've got a wife, I can't pay on her behalf, she must pay on her own behalf. If I have children, however, the correct opinion is the opinion of the majority, which is that you are allowed to pay for your dependents. In actual fact, you are a guardian over your dependents. You have to make sure that they are paying. But are you allowed to pay on their behalf? I've got £10, I'll here £10 and take it on behalf of them as well. Yes, the correct opinion is yes. However, others from the ulama say no. Here's the £10, give me back my change, I'm going to get money from their account. The correct opinion is that you can pay on their behalf. Like, who are you paying it to? Now the majority, some of the ulama have said that you can give it to all of the 8 people that you can give zakat to. So who are the people that you give zakat to? Al-Fuqara, al-Masakin, wal-Gharimin alayha, wal-Amilin alayha, wal-Gharimin. Those people who are acting upon it, and those agents, and those people who are in debt, wabn as-sabil, and those people who are wayfarers, have lost fi sabilillah. You can give it on all of these categories. Others from the ulama is that you can give it to any poor person. Any poor person, Muslim or non-Muslim. This is the opinion of the Hanafis. So if you've got a non-Muslim neighbor and they are poor, you can knock on the door and say, here, here's 3 kilos of rice, enjoy it. But the majority of the ulama, the correct opinion here is that it must be given to the poor and the needy from the Muslimin. From the Muslimin. And we're going to talk about some of the hikam and the wisdoms as to why we give zakat al-fitr in a little while, after this next mas'ala or the next 2 masail, and this will expand upon why it should be upon the Muslimin. طيب. Is it permissible for us to give it to one poor person? So there is a person in your city, he is extremely poor. There are 100 people in your musalla, in your masjid. That's 300 kilos. Is that right? 100 people. Yeah. Can we give 300 kilos to that one poor person? Or we can only give him a little bit to suffice him, and then we need to send the rest out. Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah, he said, firstly, it's better to inform that poor person that we are going to give you zakat al-fitr. This is from the zakat al-fitr. It's better to inform them. Why? Number 1, the person knows that he's receiving zakat. Number 2, he will not get overwhelmed. He will not feel overwhelmed. So now if you knock on his door and say, here's 300 kilos, mate, of rice. It's too much. What am I going to do? But then you can say to him, look, okay, this is from the zakat al-fitr. Are you okay with accepting it? And then he will not feel. Number 3, he will realize that this is zakat al-fitr and it is connected to the people in the masjid. So now if he thinks, okay, well, subhanAllah, I've got 300 kilos. Every year I'm going to get 300 kilos. That's going to keep me going for the whole year. Next year there's only 10 people in the masjid. He's only going to get 30 kilos. He's going to feel sad. Of course he's going to feel sad. But if you explain to him from the beginning that, okay, you are a designated person, we'll give you all our zakat al-fitr, but this is the zakat al-fitr. Look at the hikmah of the shaykh. Also, in that scenario, the shaykh is saying, if there is nobody else, then you can give it to that one poor person. That is fine. Because the maqsood has been, the objective has been fulfilled, which is that poor people or a poor person has received from the zakat al-fitr. What are some of the wisdoms behind the zakat al-fitr? Number 1 is to show compassion and to be good, and these are what the shaykh has mentioned here. To be good to the poor. To get used to making poor people happy. That's what the meaning is saying. At the end of Ramadan, it's not that you become stubborn and you think about your own Eid. You fasted for 30 days, you've gained taqwa, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. You've gained taqwa, why? What are you going to do on the last day? 2 billion people in this dunya are Muslim. Maybe there's only a small percentage, Allah knows best, there's only a percentage of the ratio of people who will be happy on that day. Unfortunate. But at least those people who we can help, we instill goodness in them, we instill happiness in them. We remove from them some kind of difficulty. Look, you got some bad in your life, let me share that with you. This is the message of Ramadan. Therefore, Zakat al-Fitr has been legislated so that we are good to the poor and we get into the habit of making other people happy, especially those people who need it. Point number 1. Point number 2. There are people in our locality who need help, so not to humiliate them on the day of Eid. 358 days of the year, the Islamic year, they may be humiliated, knocking on doors, disheveled, not happy, anxiety, stress. At least for 2 days in the year, make it that those 2 days that they are not asking and they are not begging. It also instills a sense of brotherhood. What is brotherhood? Islam teaches us that brotherhood is not based on your gender, is not based on your language, your culture, it's not based on your social status. So now we have parties, maybe political parties or even cultural parties, you have centers, etc., being set up because we're from the same jama'ah, or we're from the same country, or we're from the same... And even the kuffar have this. You can join our elite if you are earning a certain threshold. If you're not, then master, we don't want to know you. Therefore, the idea of brotherhood from different regions in the world is completely different. Islam is teaching us brotherhood is not about how much you own. It's not about whether you're rich or poor. It's not about your language. It's not about your color. It's not even about your gender. You can have brotherhood and sisterhood with a woman that is not mahram with you. Obviously, you have to uphold etiquettes and morals, but you can still be nice to her. You can still show her brotherhood and sisterhood. Therefore, Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah is telling us here that Zakat al-Fitr and the day of Eid is teaching us what brotherhood actually is. It is also teaching us and the rich amongst us to how to have mercy. How do you have mercy? I mean, it's easy for us to be a millionaire and you can hoard that, but for you to part, and you know, sometimes the richer you are, the more difficult it is to even give a penny. It's unfortunate, and that's how it is. The more you have, the more you calculate, and the more you plan for. So now if you ask a millionaire £500, £2,000, you might think, But sometimes a person might be poor and you think, you know what, subhanAllah, Allah has given me this, Allah will give it me again, here, take this. And you find that many occasions, and I've seen that with my own eyes in this masjid. Therefore, Zakat al-Fitr is teaching us and is teaching us how to have mercy. And mercy here is not connected to your bank balance. It is teaching us the objective of life, which is to seek the akhirah. It is teaching us how to have mercy on yourself and to gain happiness for yourself. Zakat al-Fitr is also instilling in you good habits and characteristics, kind of like what we said in the first one. But if you start giving, if you put £3 in a box, you're not going to get the flavor of Zakat al-Fitr. But if you go to the market and you think, you know what, I know a poor person, and what is he going to like? He doesn't really eat lentils, but he might like pasta. You are thinking about somebody else for a change. You're not thinking about yourself. Then you take that and you're carrying it, and you're carrying with your bags. Maybe you might take your children with you and say, knock on the door and say, look, this is for you. Then you see the reaction. They might even make some food from it and give you some and give other people some. Zakat al-Fitr is teaching you good habits that you can't even enumerate for yourself. The effects that it's going to have on you and your community, whatever Allah has obligated for you, we can only have a portion of understanding of the goodness that is behind it. The goodness after the goodness, this is the concept of barakah that we have in Islam, that other religions, they don't have that. There's no religion that has barakah. Just the concept of barakah, they don't have that. They all have shirk. They all have idols. They all have strings. They all have believing in a cross or believing in the creation. We have something that no other religion has, which is the concept of barakah. You do what Allah teaches you to do, tells you to do, commands you to do, even makes mustahab and recommended. Look, it's not wajib. If you don't do it, then it doesn't matter. You're not going to go to the hellfire. But if you did, it'd be better for you. If you do all of that to the best of your ability, the effect on society on your house, on your own iman primarily, but your own house and everybody around you, you cannot calculate. Therefore, Zakat al-Fitr instills in people good habits and characteristics. Point number 5. Point number 6, it is a way of giving thanks to Allah. Because He alone, are you fasting today because you have the power to fast? Are you going to stand tonight because you yourself and think, no, I want to do it, me, myself? This is another thing that there's no other religion can teach you except Islam, which is that tawfiq is only from Allah. Therefore, if Allah has given you tawfiq to do something, it is also from that tawfiq that you set aside something to give shukr, sacrifice, to give shukr. There's also a hadith in Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, which is that the Prophet ﷺ told us that Zakat al-Fitr makes up tuhratun lis-sa'im min lahu wal-rafath wa tu'ma lil-masakin. It makes up for the deficiencies that he has had when he has been verbally incorrect whilst he has been fasting, if he has said something, if he has done something, if he has been sinful whilst he has been fasting. And it is also a tu'ma, and it's also a feeding for the masakin. This summarizes Zakat al-Fitr. In the 29th Majalis, he talks about Tawbah, and he goes in at length Tawbah, and I don't think we're going to have enough time for that. However, I want to leave us with one thing, which is, like Ibn Rajab rahimahullah said, that there is no act of worship except that istighfar has been legislated at the end of it. On the 29th day, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah is talking about istighfar and Tawbah. Because Ibn Rajab is saying this, istighfar will expiate your sins. It will multiply your reward, your sawm that you're doing right now. Through istighfar, you will have it multiplied. It will remove from you your shortcomings, and it will be a seal for the goodness. So that goodness will not go away. It's banked. Istighfar at the end of any good deed will give you those 4 things: expiation, multiplication, overlooking from the shortcomings on the action that you have done, and it will be a banking, sealed, khalas. So when you have prayed Salatul Maghrib and you say Astaghfirullah with khushu, with Allah, and a connection, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, Allah, I have done this Salatul Maghrib, but I'm not sure if it's going to be accepted, I'm not sure if I've done it correctly, I'm not sure if I've done it in a better way, I could have done it. When you do that just one action of istighfar is much more powerful perhaps than the action itself sometimes. It is a seal, it is a multiplication, it is of overlooking for the shortcoming. That Salatul Maghrib you have prayed, but Allah will overlook all of that because of that istighfar that you have done. This is what Ibn Rajab is saying, rahimahullah. Every act of worship has istighfar at the end of it, and it is from the best of istighfar. And Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah has said, and Allah says that, Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said that everything in this dunya stops except for seeking the akhirah. Everything in this dunya is going to cease except for seeking the akhirah. So when you make istighfar right now, what you are doing is you're planting for your akhirah. So when you come to the akhirah, that record will be shown to you, 1st of June, 27th of Ramadan, I made istighfar there. That has been transferred over. The £10 that you have spent today on your shopping, maybe you had no intention for it, you've just spent it. There's no niyyah, therefore it becomes a mubah action. All of that's perished. There's no reward. However, there's something that you're doing right now which you're going to carry with you into Jannah, which is your actions. This is what Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah is saying. Every single thing ceases except for what you are doing right now for the akhirah. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah continues to talk about the benefits of istighfar, etc. Majalis al-Thalathun, the last Majlis, which is the ending of the Shar, of the month of Ramadan. The Shaykh said, say goodbye to this month with good deeds. And if you have been given tawfiq to do good deeds in this month, then thank Allah and give shukr to Him. And if you have not been good in this month, then end this month with tawbah, at least even the last moment. Even if it's just the last moment, end it with tawbah and istighfar, because you don't know how much good that would do for you. Because once you step out of Ramadan, there's no more fortress anymore. Jannah is no longer guaranteed to be remained open. Jahannam is released, shayateen are released, the fortress is over. You are stepped outside of that zone, and the shayateen are coming after you again. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah is saying here, and this ties in very, very nicely with Ramadan and you in your life. The way you know whether you're going to Jannah or Jahannam tomorrow, you can actually know that right now. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah is saying, you can actually know where you are going to be in the Akhirah right now. Obviously nobody can say for certain, this is from the unseen. No, don't get it wrong, I'm not trying to say that you have some kind of inspiration. But you have a very good inkling where you are going tomorrow by today. Ibn Qayyim is saying, not me. He's saying, to know where you are going tomorrow, and this is in Jawab al-Kafi, see what you enjoy in doing today. Be honest with yourself. This is part of the istighfar, this is part of how you are ending the month. Be honest with yourself. Is your enjoyment in football? Is your attachment in the dunya, in cars, in wealth, in the opposite gender, in looking good for yourself so everybody can look at me? Is it in business? Where is your passion? Your ultimate passion, where is it? I'm not trying to say you don't have hobbies and interests, I'm not saying that. What is the reason why you wake up in the morning? That is the question. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah said, because those people who enjoy something in the dunya will be with that thing in the akhirah. And you can't have two opposites. It doesn't exist. You enjoy salah, you enjoy Islam. That is your passion. In the dunya, you will be with Islam in the akhirah. Guaranteed. Allah is not going to be وَلَيْسَ بِذَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. That is far above Allah. Allah knows that you love Islam and you are living by it in its true meaning. You will be with it in the akhirah. However, you could be doing the motions of Islam, but your heart and your passion is maybe 50-50, maybe it's 30-70, maybe it's somewhere else completely. Allah وَلَقَدْ شَرَعَ لَكُمْ فِي خِتَامِ شَهْرِكُمْ عِبَادَاتٍ تَزِيدَكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ قُرْبًا. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah was saying that this month ends not in negligence. It actually ends with certain acts of worship which you must do and is mustahab for you to do, and it only comes in at the end of the month, not in the beginning of the month, not in the middle of the month. What this teaches us is that yes, the month is ending, but you are actually moving into a new loop in your life, which is that you carry on worshiping. Going back to what Ibn Qayyim was saying, rahimahullah, what he said is Zakat al-Fitr, we talked about that. Also, next week when Eid is pronounced and Shawwal is pronounced and the end of Ramadan is pronounced, we should make takbir. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa lillahi alhamd. For men, it is prescribed for them to say out loud. Why do we do this? وَلِتُكْمِنُوا الْعِدَّةَ وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. Because Allah has given you the tawfiq, Allah has guided you to Islam. Is there any group that are going to be saved from the hellfire in Ramadan that is not a Muslim group? Can Christians be saved? Can Jews be saved? This is a matter of Iman now. لِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. Now Allah has given you Iman and Tawheed, but also that Allah has given you tawfiq in this month. وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. In this one ayah, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah is saying that there is three hikmah from us making takbir. That we give shukr to Allah for giving us Islam and Hidayah in Ramadan. To display Tawheed, because this is the day of Eid and the day of Tawheed. Just like the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah will be the day of Eid and the day of Tawheed again. And it is unity upon the haqq. Every single one of us is saying the same thing. Also, we have one of the biggest symbols of Islam, which is the day of Eid itself. And I wanted to go through some of the ahkam, but I don't think we've been very long, and I apologize for its length, and I thank you for sitting with me for so patiently for such a long period of time. Salat al-Eid is one of the symbols of Islam, and the ulama are in complete agreement of this. This is one of the sha'air that we can't remove. To this extent, the Hanafis have said that Salat al-Eid is fard al-ain upon every single one of us. This is also the opinion of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. But what seems to be the correct opinion is that it's fard al-kifaya. So if you missed it for a particular reason, you don't need to make qada. According to the Hanafis, you need to make qada. But what seems to be the correct opinion is that if you've missed it, you've overslept, or you're ill, or whatever, then there is no qada, because it's fard al-kifaya. It includes women and children. The hadith of Atiyya, she said that we were commanded, all of us, the Messenger of Allah commanded all of us to go out, even the woman in the menses, even the woman who didn't even have an abaya. This is how poor they were at that time. A woman didn't have an abaya. So the Prophet ﷺ said that if another woman can lend an abaya to another woman, let her do that. Don't go to the shop and spend £300-400 on your Eid outfit. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you have a spare abaya, £10 abaya, just give it to your sister, even if it's used, doesn't matter. Come on. What if you only have one abaya? The Prophet ﷺ said, if it's wide enough, two of you wrap yourselves in. The mercy of this day, the importance of this day. Atiyya radiallahu anha said, the Prophet ﷺ told us all to come out, وَيَشْهِدْنَ الْخَيْرِ وَدَعْوَةُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, so that all of us can see the blessings. This day is the day of blessings. There is no specific reward for the day of Eid or the Salat al-Eid. However, we have an indication, the ulama deduce from this, is that Eid is a day of acceptance, blessings, dua being accepted. It's not a day where we think, okay, all Laylatul Qadr is finished, everything's finished, the books are closed. This is a day of khair. وَدَعْوَةُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. This is the day that the Muslimun make da'wah and dua, and it will be accepted. And it's a day of unity, it's a day of happiness. Some of the sunnah before Eid, and I'm sure this is familiar to you already, but it's good to remind. Eid al-Fitr is good to delay, because this gives a chance for those people in i'tikaf to come out, and it gives a chance for people to eat before they come out, odd number of days, as Anas radiallahu anhu narrated. It also gives a chance to go walking out to the musalla, as narrated by Ali ibn Abi Talib. It is also sunnah on this day to wear the best of your clothes, as much as you're available, according to your ability, and to shower and to smell nice, etc. It is a day where we increase in dhikr and khushu' to Allah, especially before the salah. But does it end after the salah? No, it doesn't end after the salah. This is the day of dhikr and dua and khushu'. It is the day where we thank Allah. It is the day when we are being paid in full by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the day of unity. It is a day of optimism. Also from the mannerisms of Salat al-Eid is that there is no adhan and there is no iqamah for the salat. And there is agreement between all the madhahib. However, the madhahib did differ on the amount of takbirat that the person must make for the Salat al-Eid. They all agreed that it's sunnah, so it doesn't matter if you forget one or if you chose one opinion over the other. The majority of the ulama have said there are 7, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, in the first rak'ah, and then the imam recites. The second rak'ah, as soon as he stands, there are 5, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, then he recites, then he finishes. The Shafi'is say, does that include the takbirat al-ihram or not? The hadith of Aisha is that the Prophet ﷺ did 7 and then 5. 12 in total. The Shafi'is say it doesn't include takbirat al-ihram. So they say you do 8. So if you're praying behind the Shafi'i, you will probably do Allahu Akbar, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, and then he will continue with the rest. The Hanafis say that you should do 4 and you should do 3, making an odd number of 7. The matter is broad, but what seems to be the correct opinion is the hadith of Aisha, and this is agreed upon, and this is sounder when it comes to authenticity. You should do 7 and then 5. When do you do the istiftah? Do you do it in the beginning? Allahu Akbar, then you continue with the 7 or the remainder, or do you do the takbirat and then the istiftah and then the recitation? Again, this is a matter which is broad, but the majority of the ulama have said that you do all the takbirat and then you start with the istiftah and then with the recitation. Do you raise your hands with the takbirat? Yes? We have a yes over there. Everybody's saying yes? The majority of the ulama say yes. What about the Hanafis? Do they say yes or no?
Yes.
They do. But they don't do it before ruku and after ruku and after tashahhud. What's the problem then? The Hanafis say you do it. All the madhahib say you do it actually. The Hanafis say we don't have a problem with you raising your hands whilst you are standing. What we have a problem with is before the ruku and after the ruku and after the tashahhud, we have a problem with that. So therefore, Takbiratul Ihram, am I standing or am I not standing? Yes, I am standing. That's why you find in their madhab also, when you do qunut, they do Allahu Akbar and then they do the qunut. Why? Because you are standing. When you are doing this takbirat, because I am standing, Allahu Akbar, you raise your hands. So this is the opinion of all the madhahib. And there's dalil for it also. Umar radiallahu anhu used to raise his hands. This has been narrated in Bayhaqi. Ibn Umar narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to raise his hands with every takbirah. Anas bin Malik used to raise his hands and he said that this is what we should do. There are others from the ulama, including Shaykh al-Albani, who said that you don't raise your hands because there is no dalil. Is there nafil prayers before or after the Eid prayers? The majority of ulama, and this includes Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ibn Mas'ud, Jabir, and many from the companions have said there is no salah before or after the Eid prayer. This is separate to Tahiyyat al-Masjid. If you have to pray Salat al-Eid in the Masjid and you pray Tahiyyat al-Masjid, that's separate. But is it connected to the prayer? To the Eid prayer itself, there is no sunnah or nafil before or after. The Hanafis say that there is after, but there is none before. So if you pray two after, that is good. The Shafi'i say that you should pray before and not after. However, what seems to be the correct opinion, خرج النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يوم عيد, and this is in Bukhari and Muslim, فصلي ركعتين لم يصلي قبلها ولا بعدها. He prayed, as soon as he entered, he prayed the two for Eid. There was no salah before and there was no salah after it. So what seems to be the correct opinion is that there is no salah. But again, there is an opinion from some of Ahl Hadith and the Shaykh al-Albani and others that you should pray two after, and it's a forgotten sunnah according to some of the ulama. However, the correct opinion when it comes to that is that it is permissible for you to pray when you go home, but it's not connected to the Eid itself. This is how the majority have answered. طيب, after the prayer is over, we have a khutbah. Is the khutbah wajib? The Malikis of the opinion is that if there is no khutbah, there is no Eid. The salah is batil and the Eid, all of it is gone. However, the majority of ulama have said that the khutbah is sunnah. So even if imagine if the imam did taslim and he went home, everything is fine, don't worry. So the khutbah itself is sunnah, and listening to it is sunnah. And this is the opinion of the majority of the Prophet, of the ulama. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna سنخطب," we are going to give a khutbah. فَمَنْ أَحَبَّ أَنْ يَجْلِسِ الْخُطْبَةِ فَلْيَجْلِسِ. Whoever wants to sit and listen, then he can go. وَمَنْ أَحَبَّ أَنْ يَرْجِعْ فَلْيَرْجِعْ. Whoever wants to go back home, then he can go back home. So the ulama have taken from this that it is sunnah for you to listen to it. If it is sunnah for you to listen to it, then it is sunnah for us to give it. Is it, okay, so the salah is finished, the khutbah is finished. Last mas'ala. Is it permissible for us to greet in the masjid? Or even outside the masjid? The Hanafis and the Malikis said that it's makruh. Don't do that. The masjid has not been built for us to congratulate and to hug and to kiss and to be happy in this manner and laugh. The masjid has not been built for this reason. So they've said it is makruh. They've also said it is makruh because it could be a form of showing off. Eid Mubarak, taqabbal minkum, Allah saved you from the fire. All of that is showing off. What do you think about that opinion? Good one. No, good one. The majority of the ulama have said that whatever is customary. Because in the time of the companions, they used to say, تَقَبَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنَّا وَمِنْكُمْ. This is found in Ibn Abi Shaybah. تَقَبَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنَّا وَمِنْكُمْ. You should get a habit of learning this because it's a very good dua. This is what the companions used to do for one another. And it's better than saying Eid Mubarak. There's nothing wrong with saying Eid Mubarak, but I'm saying it's better. And the reason why there is nothing wrong with saying Eid Mubarak or anything which is similar, or Eid greetings or happy Eid, because the ulama, the majority of ulama have said that all of this falls under what is customary, including hugging, including kissing, including showing joy, etc. Therefore, this now concludes some of the ahkam and the masail that the Shaykh has mentioned. We've had tafsir today, we've had some masail in aqidah, we've had the fiqh of zakat and the hikam, the wisdom surrounding zakat al-fitr, and we've had some of the rulings concerning the Eid prayers. I ask Allah to make this beneficial for us all, and Allah have mercy on the Shaykh, and that He illuminates his grave and elevates his status, and that Allah has pardon upon us because He loves to pardon, that He has salam upon us because He is a salam, that He is pleased with us, and that He gives us the Jannah that we are all seeking. هذا والله أعلم وصلى اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Anybody got any questions? We've got one question here which is off the topic. Is it permissible for a person to buy something which is a designer name? This is the question I was asking. Is it permissible for us to buy clothing or anything with a designer label? Now, in answering this question, what do you think as an answer? Is it allowed? Everything is halal until proven haram. Okay, that's a good point of looking at it. In this question, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking that every single person who's going to buy something of a designer label is going to fall into one of these four categories. You can't have another one. Number one, the person is buying it because for the sake of that product. So I'm going, for example, into John Lewis. I know it's not designer, but I'm going to John Lewis. I want to buy a t-shirt from John Lewis because John Lewis is a very big company and they've got a very good guarantee policy, they've got a good quality policy. It's a bit more expensive. I can go to Primark, but I'm going to go to John Lewis for the sake of... Now I've got John Lewis label here. I'm walking around. Do I want you to look at it? No, that's not the point. The point here is I want this garment to last me. And I can give shukr to Allah. So the asl is, like Brother Ibrahim said, as ibaha. Some people now will go into that shop for the sake of buying it for that designer. So they want to walk around. So now we have an Adidas label here. Is he wearing that Adidas label because Adidas is a good label? Yes, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good quality. But now, are you walking around and saying, look at my Adidas, look at my... If you are doing it for that reason, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man jarra thawbahu khuyala," whoever lets his garment fall below his ankle and he drags it while he is walking and he's doing it with arrogance, he's wearing garments with arrogance, لم ينظر إليه يوم القيامة لم ينظر الله إليه يوم القيامة ولا يزكيهم وله عذاب أليم. Allah will not look at him, Allah will not purify him, and he will have a very bad punishment. This is the person who wore a garment out of arrogance. First person, because he wants the quality. Second person, same garment, same transaction, the niyyah has changed. The person wants to buy the product because it's a good product, but he can't afford it. I want to go to John Lewis, but I can only afford Primark, but I can't afford John Lewis. But I want to buy it because, just for the sake of the product, not to show off. What do you think about that one? Huh? وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَنفَقُوا لَمْ يُسْرِفُوا وَلَمْ يَقْتُرُوا وَكَانَ. They are not too stingy and they are not extravagant. They spend within their means. Allah describes them as being the Ibadur Rahman. Therefore, if a person is spending outside of his means, then this is definitely blameworthy. So buying a designer item now in that scenario would become makruh at the very least, maybe even haram. There's a fourth category now, then this is where the discussion actually came from. A person wants to buy a garment. Let's say, for example, we have Adidas. Now, that company has a haram meaning connected to it. Is it permissible for us to buy it? So now I'm walking around with the name of a shaitan. It's possible. There's even one emblem that you can probably think of. The shaitan is right in the middle of it, and he's got a fork and he's standing there like that, and people are coming into the masjid and they are praying salah with that garment on. Shaitan on their garment. Some of those clothing actually has the name of shaitan on it. Some of them are praising kufr and shirk. Is it permissible for us to buy that garment? Of course not. The answer becomes very, very obvious then. But how many people are negligent? The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man tashabbaha qawm فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. Whoever imitates a group of people, then he is of them. So even if a person cannot say, Ibn Taymiyyah and others from the ulama, a person can't say, well, I'm wearing this garment, I don't want to imitate the shayateen, I'm just wearing it because I like it. Your intention there is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. What's the ruling? Now this is a question that's come up by about 3-4 sisters now. What's the ruling of a woman entering into the masjid while she's on her menses? And we actually even know of an incident where a sister, she was in i'tikaf, not in this masjid, another masjid, and she began her menses. And it became an issue with the masjid. What do we do in that scenario? Now, this has become an issue because this is the opinion of Shaykh al-Albani and others from Ahl al-Hadith, and it's the opinion of the Zahiris also, is that there is no dalil to say that a woman cannot enter the masjid. Therefore, there's a principle in the Sharia which is a bara' dhimma, which is that you can do whatever you want. You're not blameworthy. Shaykh al-Albani also in his answer uses the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where Aisha radiallahu anha began her menses and she started the Hajj. And now she can't enter the masjid, Masjid al-Haram, she can't make dua. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "If'ali ma yaf'al al-Hajj." Do everything that the Haji is doing. Shaykh al-Albani is using this to say that she could go into the masjid. She can sit in the masjid, she can recite Quran, she can do tasbih, except don't do the tawaf. Because that's what the Haji is doing. The majority of the ulama have said that it is not allowed if a woman is on her menstruation to enter into the masjid. And this is the correct opinion. And the reason why. Now before we answer this question, this is very important for us to determine now what is a masjid. Because in England, not every single building is a masjid. Even if it's got a nice fancy decoration, it might not even be a masjid. A masjid must be something which is owned by the Muslims. It is a waqf. So if the waqf is not being paid off, if the loan is not being paid off, if it is a musalla, if it is a place in your workplace, all of that is not a masjid. Therefore she can enter that place. It's not a masjid. However, if it is something which is owned by the Muslims and is being designated as a permanent place of worship, then she cannot enter into that place. The reason being, number one, Allah says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَقْرَبُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَنْتُمْ سُكَارَى. Don't come to the prayer whilst you are intoxicated. And then within that context, Allah says, وَلَا جُنُبٌ إِلَّا عَابِرِ السَّبِيلِ. And not a person who is in janaba, unless if he is passing through. So if me and you now, a man could be in janaba, a woman could be in janaba, they are not allowed to come to the masjid and stay. A person who is intoxicated is not allowed to come to the masjid and stay. That's what Allah is saying in this ayah. However, if a person is intoxicated, if a person is in janaba, can he go from that door to that door, passing through that corridor? Yes. And this is the tafsir given by Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas said, لا بأس للحائض والجنب أن يمر في المسجد, that they can go through the masjid or past the masjid ما لم يجلسا فيه, as long as they don't stay in the masjid. That's dalil number one. The Prophet ﷺ himself, dalil number two, explicitly said, إني لا أحل المسجد للحائض ولا جنوب. I do not permit for a person who is on the menstruation or a person in janaba to stay in the masjid. And this is for us people in i'tikaf also. If you wake up in janaba, you have to go clean yourself and then you can come back. And there's other dalil also. And in answering the dalil given about the incident with Aisha, the Prophet ﷺ is talking clearly about the tawaf here. And this is actually a proof for us, not against us. Where the Prophet ﷺ is saying, don't enter the masjid and make tawaf. You can do everything else. You can go to Mina and Muzdalifah and Arafah. You can do tasbih and all these other things. You can make dua, but don't go into the Masjid al-Haram until you become clean. And that's exactly what she did. When she became clean, she went with her brother. She went to Tan'im, Masjid Aisha today. She became clean and then she went back. And that's the first time that she entered into the masjid after her menses was over. So the opinion of the majority is at least the safer, even if you are following the opinion of Al-Albani and you are not convinced by our arguments here. But we have an ayah, we have a hadith, we have statements of the companions. And this is the more correct opinion, which is the opinion of the majority, which is that women on their menstruation are not allowed to enter the masjid and stay in the masjid but they are allowed to pass through, and they are allowed to enter for the sake of necessity if they need to enter for the sake of that necessity. For example, if women, and we've had this incident actually this Ramadan, women had a women iftar here. We had no one to organize that with. I can't go there and start serving food. They won't feel comfortable. There was only one woman, actually two women, who came up from the community, and they said, we will sort everything out. We'll sort the food out, we'll sort the laying out, we'll sort the dates out, we'll sort the water out. The only problem is, Arif, both of us are menstruating. In that scenario, it would be permissible for them, they be there for the sake of helping. Once that help is left, then they must leave. So that would be the only exception. Wallahu a'lam. Any questions? Yes, uncle.
Yesterday there was a little bit of debate here.
Yeah.
But after finishing the Taraweeh
Yeah.
and the Witr,
Yeah.
some brothers wanted to pray,
Tahajjud.
Qiyamul Layl.
Okay.
Brothers said, well, I agree with that opinion that because that's the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, that after 11 rakats there is no other salah except nawafil. But the brothers denied that.
Okay. So now, yesterday, what happened? I didn't know about this. Okay, what happened after the Salatul Witr had finished? A group of people wanted to make a new congregation of Tahajjud, because I presume they believed that it was the 27th night, and they wanted to stand at length. Right. Number one, and we've discussed this before, but we can say it again. Number one, Salatul Layl is a nafil prayer. And the majority of the ulama, this is from the time of the companions and the madahib, they are all agreed that there is no limit. If you wanted to pray 100 raka'at, then you can do that. Imam Ahmad used to pray 300 raka'at a day. Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi used to pray 500 raka'at a day. 500. Therefore, there is no limit when it comes to nawafil, especially at night time. The Prophet ﷺ said, Salatul Layl mathna mathna. The night prayer is 2 by 2. There's another group of ulama who have said that the night prayer of the Prophet ﷺ is like the rawatib. You have 12 rawatib a day. Can you make 14 rawatib? No, you need dalil. Same thing when it comes to tahajjud. The Prophet ﷺ prayed 13 maximum. You can't exceed that. It's exactly like the rawatib. So that's where the khilaf comes from. The majority, the Malikis say, you know how much you have to pray Tarawih? 36 raka'at. They said you have to pray 36 raka'at. Sorry, 33 raka'at. Yes, sorry. 33 raka'at, they said you have to pray. So the understanding from, and they've got their understanding from Medina at that time. So we have understanding that from the grandchildren of the companions, there was no restriction. So this is where the khilaf. Now, the issue here now is not the issue of khilaf. The reason why this is haram is because what we talked about last week of ta'qeeb. Once the prayer has been concluded by the imam with the witr, it is not permissible for another jama'ah. That's not allowed. That would be bid'ah. That would be makruh. That would not be permissible. However, if the imam finishes Taraweeh at 12 o'clock and he says, we'll come back at 2 o'clock, very quickly, 20 minutes, we'll pray another 2 rakat and we'll do our witr then as well, and then we've got another 20 minutes to make suhoor. If everybody agreed, that would be fine. Because the night has not been concluded. So in that scenario, they're not allowed to do that, and they must obey whatever the authorities of the masjid are saying. Allah says in the Quran, it's a very important point, because people are not doing that. 2 nights ago, I came for Salatul Isha about half an hour early. By Allah, there was so much parking. So, it's full, completely empty. 2 brothers, beards longer than mine, whiter than mine. And you can see that, these people are very happy about their Islam. They parked right on the pavement right there. On the pavement. I'm driving there and I pulled over, pulled my window down. I said, brother, all you need to do is move your car 2 spaces there. That's it. To take it off the curb and put it on the curb, park it legally over there. Right now, you are disturbing people who want to come to the masjid, and there are women, and there are elderly, and there are children who are not going to be able to cross the road safely because you have parked literally on the pavement. You know what they did? One guy just looked at me and he walked straight to the masjid. The other guy, he's looking at the car and he's looking at me, he's looking at the car, and I can see, I didn't want to put him in a difficult... All you have to do is to convey. You can't force people. I've just done it. I walked off. The point here you're now making here, whether it's tarawih, whether it's wasting water, whether it's controlling your children, whether it's the way you park, Allah says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul wa ulil amri minkum. Those people who are in charge. If Allah has given and the community have given responsibility to people, then you must obey them. Just like you don't want your son coming home and saying, well, I'm not going to listen to you, I'm going to do what I want to do. That's not allowed, that's not taqwa. So it's the same thing. So I mean, this is about parking, it's about absolutely everything, and a lot of people are negligent. They want to come, Allahumma innaka afu, tayyibul afu, when I park on double yellows, and I'm disrupting people. How? Ibn Rajab and Sheikh Shuraim also said in the khutbah recently, how is it possible, is it conceivable, you're saying, oh Allah, you pardon, but you're not pardoning yourself? It's a contradiction. Yes, brother. بارك الله فيك.
كنت مما نقش في هذه المسألة أمس.
مسألة إيش؟ تعقيب.
نعم. فسألت الإمام شيخ
محمد. نعم.
فسألته عن هذا عن الحج وقال لا بأس.
طيب.
ولذلك فعلنا.
لا نقول صلاة التعقيب في الجماعة مكروه عند السلف. لكن لو صليت منفردا لا بأس به. لو صليت منفردا لا بأس به، لكن جماعة تقيم ثانية بعد وتر الإمام هذا المشكلة. في الجماعة منفردا لا بأس به. لا هذا صلاة النار. بارك الله فيك. He's saying that they weren't aware. They asked the Imam said they can have another Jama'ah, and he permitted it, and that was fine. If the authorities are saying that you can have another Jama'ah, then inshallah there's no problem in that, bi'idhnillah. Also, so if you've asked somebody, then khair, inshallah. However, I would say it's better because it's confusion. You should know. It will create disruption for people. So now people are coming and thinking, what's this going on here now? أحسن تقيم بوحدك. You pray by yourself, there is no harm, even if after the Imam has done the witr. Jami.
The first question is, you mentioned with the prayer, you mentioned
Istiftah, yeah. Istiftah is the Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, the dua that you do before the Fatiha. Yeah. So the correct opinion with that is you do all the takbirat, and then when you are beginning to pray, that's when you do everything. Yes.
My second question is, when you were explaining women in message or someone in training, saying in the masjid, we know that all around the world, we know masjid are built in such a way that there are so many amenities in them, facilities in them.
Yeah.
You can have offices, you can have guest house where you can have where people can come.
So the question here is, what is the masjid? Yes. The ulama have said is that if you have the same entrance to that building, then it is the masjid. However, if you have a separate entrance to the same building, then we have to ask the authorities and the people in charge, why is there a separate entrance? So if they say, no, this separate entrance is actually the accommodation of the imam, and it's not part of the masjid, even though it's part of the building, then that would not take the hukum of the masjid. So he can't do i'tikaf in his own bedroom, for example, in that scenario. And you will find this in many Muslim, even in Saudi Arabia, in many Muslim countries, where the imam actually lives in the same building, but is not part of the masjid. And you can have offices. So now, in here, Masjid Tayyiba, we've actually, if you look at it, there's 2 doors. So the second door is actually not part of the masjid, it's a separate office, because it's got its own entrance. Even though we don't really use it, it's a separate entrance. So this answers the question, bi'idhnillah, is that the masjid is muhit, and mabna is whatever is the building, but has the same entrance. Idris. Salam.
I apologize.
Barakallahu fiqh.
Basically, with the Eid, the Zakat al-Fitr.
Yes.
If someone gave it, say for example, 2-3 days ago, I came a bit late when you're talking about it, sorry.
That's fine.
Is it valid or the Zakat al-Fitr?
The ulama have said, if a person gives 3-4 days before Eid, then he has to repeat the Zakat al-Fitr. Because the ulama have said that this hadith of Ibn Ibn Umar is the waqt shart, as in it's the shart of this, the condition of the time of it beginning.
Traditionally, this Zakat al-Fitr is collected, and sometimes it is collected on the day of Eid. It's supposed to be sent away
Yes.
to other countries of the poor people. What is its position?
Yes, so this is the thing. I mean, if Zakat al-Fitr is collected very late or on the day of Eid itself, or maybe the day before Eid, how is it possible that they're going to feed the people? This is the question. See, now most of these masjids obviously are following the Hanafi madhab. Are they actually feeding people? I don't know. And the majority of the ulama are saying that you must feed someone. You must hand over that before the Salatul Eid on your day. Now, if you are giving them the money, they are of the opinion that you can give money. We looked at this last week also. So you have to be very careful who you give it to, and you have to make sure, and this is what the ulama, all four madhab, including the Hanafi madhab, are in complete agreement that it's your responsibility, your responsibility, that your zakat or fitr is placed in the hands of that poor person. It's your responsibility. Even if you appoint an agent, yes, I mean, you can appoint an agent, then it becomes his responsibility, but it's your responsibility to make sure that he is doing it and you've chosen somebody who is trustworthy. That's what.
For the babies, feeding the milk,
Yeah.
normally this kilo is about 10 pounds. What about
For babies, the ulama have said, for people, anybody who is alive, because of the hadith of Umar here, you must give it. Sagir or kabir. This is people who are alive.
Whatever their food we have to give. Then the milk is very kilo around 10 pounds. Then they have to give 30 pounds or?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to give milk.
No.
You give anything which is beneficial. If you can afford to give them milk, then you can give them milk if you can afford it. You can give them milk if you can afford it. But if you can't afford it, then you don't have to give them milk. You can give them anything else which is going to benefit. I bought some sugar.
If you can afford it, normally 1 kilo milk is 10 pounds.
Yeah. If you can afford it, then that's fine. I bought sugar, 3 kilos, it cost me £1.50.
No, whatever we giving the milk,
Yeah.
normally is kilo is 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Then 3 kilos 30 pounds.
30 pounds then, yes.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, yeah. If you want to do that, you can do that, yes. Same thing when it comes to meat, same thing when it comes to chicken and other things. If you wanted to do that, it would be expensive, but if you can do that, it will benefit people and they can have that on the day of Eid. Yeah. It's fine. No, it's fine. Masjid. Yeah.
Trying to kind of like look at the practicality of the buildings that we have that are used as mosques. Okay, let's, for example, let's use Taiwan as an example.
Yeah.
We have like a big compound.
Yeah.
With a gate.
Okay.
Coming into the compound, and then we now have the building, let's say, in the big in
The compound, the gate of the masjid is not the masjid. The masjid itself is the building where people pray. The masjid itself is the building where people pray.
even if they can convert the compound to pray, let's say
If they pray in the compound, that is only an extension of the masjid. It's only because the sufuf extend into the compound, not because the compound is the masjid. Understand? So the ulama have said is that the building which has been raised as a waqf, as a place of prayer, is the masjid. That's where they cannot enter.
And what about in the situation where you have like the office, at the top floor and stuff?
So now, if you have a building which is the masjid, anything which is on top of it, anything which is below it is all part of the waqf. As long as it's part of the waqf, then that is all part of the masjid. So now it's conceivable where a person owns a waqf in a building, but it's part of a block of flats. And they've designated that, and I've actually seen this one in London, where there's butchers underneath, and the masjid is on the first floor. They own that first floor. There's no lease on it. They own that first floor and part of the land. And I'm not sure how it works, but they own all of that. That's the waqf. Therefore, that there is the waqf. Underneath is not the waqf. Yeah? Barakallah. Idris.
I don't know. Just
SubhanAllah wa bihamdihi. Ask Allah to bless you all and give us all a good ending to Ramadan and a good ending to our lives, and that Allah has mercy on us and He makes the Eid a day which is Mubarak for us all and the Muslimin everywhere, and that He unites us and He facilitates for us our affairs and brings ease